or no deal? Well, that is the case for Ghana as far as the bilateral creditors are concerned, and more. Now, the third tranche of release from the IMF is facing some obstacles because there are roadmaps, there are milestones we have to attain before getting that. But are we getting there? Well, joining us all the way from Washington's District of Columbia, we have George Riafe, who is with our business team. He's going to walk us through what the talks have been like so far as the IMF is concerned. George, hello, good morning. You'd have to unmute, George.
Is it better now?
It is better. I can hear you.
Thank you so much that you can hear me loud and clear. But let me first start with some background. So when the IMF came to town for what they will call the second review, at the staff level, they said that Ghana has been able to complete the second review. Now, the staff, when they complete the second review on ground with the country that has signed the program, they need to take that report to their management, and from the management, they go to the board. Now, if the board is satisfied with how the country has performed under the program, then they would pass that program. And since Ghana's program comes with financial support, they will go ahead and then extend that second tranche of funds to Ghana. It's around $360 million. Now, this is the catch word here. When the IMF came to town and give us all this update, they said that, listen, before they can go to the board, they need Ghana's bilateral creditors, those and also those multilateral institutions to say that they've reached a deal. Now, don't forget that in January, before they had to disperse the funds to Ghana, the terms for restructuring, they're about $5.4 billion. They agreed in more of an agreement in principle that we are okay. We are okay in beginning talks with country Ghana and how to restructure their debt. So moving on from the agreement in principle, they were supposed to finalize a memorandum of understanding that the fund would need before the staff can go to its board for a meeting on country Ghana. Before even the IMF came out here in DC to give us some details, we had picked up information from the Official Creditor Committee, giving us some indication that they have been able to reach some favorable deal with Ghana in terms of the terms and the wording of the statement, and we put that then out. Initially, the fund came out and said, well, we are not aware of all those things. Now, fast track, at that Africa bosses, that is Abiy Selassie's press conference, he gave an indication that as far as he is concerned, they've not received any email from the Official Creditor Committee saying that a deal has been reached, but they have received financing assurance from the Official Creditor Committee. And even without an agreement on MOU, they would go ahead to extend that financial support to Ghana, that is, go to the board. Because one critical thing that these things take quite a long time. And even trying to schedule a board meeting on Ghana is not easy. So when you get that indication that some progress is being made, you also on the fund level, you want to start the process, hoping that by the time you complete the staff report on Ghana, share with management, share with all the individual board members, and hoping that they meet on Ghana, that final deal would have come through. But the fund is even telling us that even though there isn't a final agreement where Ghana has signed, the bilateral creditors have signed, because they've gotten this financing insurance from the Official Creditor Committee, they are going ahead. Government held the press conference yesterday here in DC. The minister said that as far as you're concerned, that draft agreement on the fine terms, the wording, that shows that these bilateral creditors have agreed to the terms for restructuring the $5.4 billion that Ghana owes these countries, is actually done. And so they are now sharing that document with the members of the Official Creditor Committee for them to say that even the word something like is that, financial year, every member has to agree to that. Now, if that is done and they share that with Ghana, because they had initially agreed to those fine details and terms, It will just take like 2 days or 3 days for Ghana to say, okay, we're okay. And that could mean that an agreement has been reached. Now, again, the Minister of Finance claims that if all other things being equal, they are expecting that to happen in the coming days. And then they can send that MOU to the IMF. And the IMF now will have everything in place to go to its board and then get this second review approved for this money to come. Some will say that why is so much big deal about this? It is not just about the money, because for some of these bilateral creditors who are financing some projects in Ghana, they need this agreement to be finalized ASAP for them to know their weak leg going forward, that indeed Ghana is now committed to servicing their debts for them. Don't forget that, this G20 common framework that Ghana is under because it was able to engage with these official creditors, that debt suspension initiative that allowed Ghana to suspend payment of debt to these donor partners is going to end this year. So they need some clarity on the terms in settling their debt before they start financing those projects in Ghana, raising those monies to Ghana. And that's why for some people, it is a big deal that this is done ASAP. So based on what the Minister of Finance is telling us now, it appears that virtually it might be a done deal, because what goes into the drafting and even agreeing the terms is the major hurdle. And if they have crossed it now, then the economists will say, all other things being equal, the IMF is set to go to its board, get the second program reviewed or approved, and we'll get that much talked about $360 million.
So basically, George, what you're saying is just a week ago, we heard the IMF boss, Kristalina Georgieva, basically suggesting that the staff-level agreement was not enough to release the third tranche. You're saying that inroads have been made based also on the communications we're getting, though there's no fine print to commit that. The board hasn't yet given its directive on this, but inroads have been made, and now we're practically on the cusp of securing some agreement from the different parties, our bilateral creditors, and that in the coming days, we can expect that the IMF board will approve the third tranche. Is that what you're saying?
With respect to the board approving Ghana's program, what the IMF staff is working is that all other things being equal, somewhere in June, because these reports, it has even legal implications. When they are even done, their legal department needs to even review all these reports. And these things take time. There can even be an instance where they are done with everything. A board member says that they are not done reviewing Ghana's program. The board meeting schedule wouldn't come on. So it's a process. And if you judge by past events, and even for the Africa boards to say that they have secured the financing assurance, if there was no fine print in place in terms of the draft deal, the IMF couldn't have told us that they have secured the financing agreement for them to even go out of the process. So all other things being equal, holding all these parameters constant, the board is likely to meet in June this year. And judging from what the finance minister had said, it means that we are likely to get our second review passed by the IMF board and get the next tranche coming in, because even the fund is saying that even though as at now, there hasn't been an official communication to them with respect to the final MOU, the fine print, the wording being agreed, because they have secured that financing assurance from the official creditor committee, they are kicking start that work of finalizing Ghana's report, which sometimes can take weeks. The management group can take weeks. And therefore, if we hold all these things constant, possibly in June, the board can meet on Ghana to pass our second review.
George Weah, thank you very much, and we'll stay with you as and when you have more information. We're hoping to get the scoop from you. That is George Weah. He's an editor with Joy Business. So that is the situation. That is where we are currently. How will things pan out? Only time will tell. But stay with us just a little bit more. We're going to give you our photo of the day and then draw the curtains on the show. We'll be right back.